This is Racing Live on talkSPORT2, and if you ever have a day at the races and you arrive well before the first race, you may see a large group of school students being shown around the racecourse, all dressed as jockeys. It's a racing initiative called Racing to Score, and it also happens to be the official charity of the Racing League for the second year running. It's Chief Executive John Blake joins us now to explain how it works. John, thanks for joining us.
Not at all. Good afternoon, Lee.
Yeah, good to have you on the show. Now, I'd describe what I see. Lots of students. They've all got the jockey kit on, all the colours, and they do actually look a little bit like jockeys, but they're not, are they? They're learning about racing. So what's all that about them?
Well, it's kind of you not to mention the noise they make, because most people can hear them coming before they see them. But yes, I mean, Racing to School has been going now for 21 years, believe it or not, bringing young people from primary and secondary schools and other organisations like pony clubs, etc., to racing, but through the gateway of education and opening up careers, really. But our core product is the education programme, as I said, working with 9-year-olds and above who come with their teachers and carers from local schools, and they have a full day with us, our team, most of whom are either former jockeys or currently racing professionals and some other guys. And they have a proper curriculum day. So the idea is really to enhance the learning that they would do in a slightly more boring classroom, bring it outside to the racecourse, which for most of them, of course, is completely foreign. They've no idea about it before. Some of them may have seen it on TV. Some of them may have been to a racecourse for a fireworks night or a car boot sale, but very few would really have actually been racing before. So that's great. So that's the first opportunity, let alone see a horse, let alone see a racehorse. So the idea is to really section the day up as it builds up to race time, and really test their maths, literacy, give them a bit of a social history, science, obviously. So all the sort of subjects they might be studying in school, but against the sort of backdrop of a fast-moving classroom that racing is. And, all the race courses are great and they interact with the children. The race goers do as well. And we hope to bring a bit of colour to the day. It's all crescendoed, if you like, with the races. So the jockeys they may have seen, the horses they may have seen stabled and checking of microchips, they may see those same horses. In the parade ring, which 2 hours earlier, they have measured the perimeter of which to make sure the safety limit is right. So they're constantly learning. So it's about building up that picture for them, and then of course the thrill of either a 50-second flat race or maybe a 3-mile chase, depending on the time.
Yeah, because they do get to stick around. I say they're always there before racing starts, when the racecourse is relatively quiet, but they do generally stick around for a race or two as well, which also has the added attraction that they miss double history, of course, which has got to be a good thing in anybody's book, hasn't it, with apologies to any history teachers listening.
Yeah, that's right, and the teachers as well. And a story I always tell, it's a bit boring, but we run several days at Chester, but the special May meeting, we always have a group there on the Wednesday, and I tend to go to that one. And I noticed that the head teacher was familiar. I'd seen him a couple of years running, and then one afternoon when the children had gone back, I spotted him in the crowd. And he said, "Oh yeah, I've taken the afternoon off to watch the rest of the It's not just the children who stay on, but the teachers, are very supportive. And actually, on a serious note, that makes all the difference, Lee, because you need a real positive sort of school, and there's plenty of them who really, buy into the concept of what we're trying to do. And we're very lucky. At times we have a waiting list of schools. I was very nervous, as with the team, about post-COVID, how the schools are going to react to that. But, it's been great, really. I mean, apart from a few postponed and cancelled events at the beginning of the year, owing to illness, they've come back in their droves. We have what I call repeat business. We have new inquiries all the time. We have teachers following us around. So when they move schools, they bring their new school to see us. So we're very lucky in the support we get.
Yeah, because when I was at school, my Spanish teacher used to go down to the bookies at lunchtime. We all knew he was in there. He'd go to the pub and then the bookies, and then he'd come back to teach another lot of students Spanish in the afternoon. But I like the idea of teachers staying on for an afternoon at the races and taking the rest of the day off. I suppose one of the things that you can't touch upon, though, is the betting, isn't it? Because we always say 18 plus only, please, if you're going to have a bet. But are you able to touch upon that, or is that a complete sort of no area where you can't go?
That's a really good question, Lee. No, there are no areas as far as I'm concerned, whether it's the whip, whether it's betting, whatever it is. I mean, and I think it's important. You've got to be truthful with young people. And I think it's really important that when things come up, we talk about them. It actually doesn't, the truth is, it doesn't actually come up a great deal. But, my own view is, and the charity has done a little bit of work on this, is that especially for the older young people, we should be beginning to talk to them around about, their gambling and their education about gambling, because the same way in schools, sex education or drugs awareness or financial management, these things are part and parcel of life. And, listening to your channel, my son will listen to adverts around bookmakers. So rather than leave a vacuum where young people are making their own minds up or perhaps having misinformation, I'd much prefer that we fill that as racing. And it's not for me to talk on behalf of the entire sport, but it's a drum I've been banging for a while now. We should be filling that space in a positive way. And likewise, whether it's the whip or whatever it might be, we should be on the front foot with these things and be positive about them. And if there's some awkward conversations to have, then we should have them. But in terms of the program, no, it doesn't involve that. It just doesn't need to really. It sort of rarely comes up. I mean, sometimes they ask who the bookmakers are and when they're setting up, etc., and that's explained. But there's so much crammed into the program, Lee. And it's what we always promote with the program is outdoor learning. So all weathers. We're an all-weather charity in that sense. I mean, they're out there, running around the race course, literally running up the home straight. If the going isn't too testing, we'll always get them to handicap themselves, and that's what I mean. Children are very honest. You ask them who's the fastest in the class, 3 hands will go up. They handicap themselves. They go 10 yards behind everyone else, and off they race. And the crowd love that when they can see that. So there's so much jam packed into the program that there's no real need for the betting side of it. There's so much opportunity for mental arithmetic and challenge as it is with jockeys' weights and imperial measurements, for heaven's sake,
Yeah, which we're still using, of course. Furlongs, I mean, that must completely baffle them. I should think, what on earth is a furlong? Because we don't even use that in normal life. Although it was always there on the back of my exercise book when I was at school. How many furlongs in a mile? But
we do a lot of that. Yeah, and all sorts of stuff. How the photo finish works, what the judge does. We sometimes go up and see commentators like yourself who are always very engaging with us. John Hunt, for example, is an ambassador of ours, always welcomes us up to the crow's nest. We just want to give them a real sense of fun about the whole thing, as well as obviously, imparting some important, curriculum and some learning. But it's about the fun and enjoyment. And mainly, I would say that racing is as much for them as it is for perhaps a child that was born in the countryside or closer to racing or has some family involvement. We want them to see that as a day out in the same way that I luckily took my son to the 100, a game of the 100 Lords just a few days ago. We want children to come in their droves to the Racing League fixtures and other fixtures as well and see it as a great day out and good value for money and something they can really enjoy and engage with on all sorts of levels.
John, you've given us the perfect out there because you have linked us beautifully to the Racing League, which we're covering this evening here on talkSPORT2. Thank you very much for telling us about racing to score. I can't believe it's been going for 2 decades, but you've been doing a brilliant job, and may you have many more decades to come.
That's very